I'm Ann Steeves, owner of Gorgeous Fabrics. Knits and knit fabrics are a mainstay of our fashion lives, and Gorgeous Fabrics is world-renowned for our fashionable knit fabrics. Knits do take slightly different handling to get a clean and professional finish, and that's what we're going to talk about today. The first thing to know is that you can't use the same type of needle you use for woven fabrics on knits. You'll get skipped stitches if you do. There are two types of needles you can use on knits. The first is the ballpoint, also called the jersey needle. As the name implies, a ballpoint needle has a rounded tip that will move the threads of the fabric without catching or cutting the yarns. These are best for sweater type and loosely woven knits. Stretch needles have a tip that's designed for sewing through tightly knitted jersey fabrics with high lycra content. I use them on all my wool, polyester, and rayon jersey garments. Contrary to what you might think, you don't need a specialized machine to sew knits. If you have a straight stitch machine, just set your stitch length to between 2.5 and 3 millimeters. When sewing knits with a straight stitch machine, you just need to stretch your fabric slightly as it goes under the presser foot in the needle. To do this, apply equal pressure on both sides of the needle by slightly pulling the fabric. Don't yank the fabric or put too much pressure on it. You just need to give a teeny stretch. If you have a zigzag machine, set your stitch width to the narrowest zigzag setting. This is 0.5 millimeters on most machines. Set your stitch length to between 2.5 and 3 millimeters. If you have a very thick knit, you may need a longer stitch length. When using a zigzag stitch, you don't need to stretch the fabric as you sew. The stitch gives you the stretch you need. Here's a little tidbit. Most knit fabrics, especially jerseys, don't ravel, so you can get away without finishing the seams in many cases. But always, always press them. This is a specialized machine called a serger or overlock. It's wonderful for sewing knits. It stitches, trims, and finishes your seam all in one step. It's also great for finishing the raw edges of knits like sweater knits and terry cloth, which might have a tendency to shed. When making a jersey top or dress, I stabilize the shoulder seams to prevent stretching. To do this, I fuse a piece of knit interfacing to the back shoulder piece. For heavier knits, I center a selvage of silk organza in the seam line and stitch through all layers. This adds strength to the seam, but adds no bulk. Now let's talk about hems. Most ready-to-wear manufacturers use a specialized machine called a cover stitch, which sews a double row of stitches on the outside of the garment. If you don't have a cover stitch, you can achieve the same look with a double needle. This needle sews a perfectly spaced double row of stitches on the needle side of the fabric with a zigzag on the back. I mark my hem on the outside of my garment with tailor's chalk and use that as a guide when I sew. This stitch also has a lot of stretch to it and gives a professional finish. If you don't have a twin needle handy, you can also hem using a straight stitch or a slight zigzag stitch. With a little practice, I think you'll find sewing with knits addicting. And adding knits to your fashion repertoire will give you a whole new world of gorgeous wardrobing options. For the gorgeous fabrics used in this video and all of your fashion fabric needs, visit gorgeousfabrics.com.